Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're all safe and enjoying the 2021 tech season that's just underway. Speaking of, the Galaxy Z Flip3 has just been released by Samsung, so it got me thinking, which three high-end Samsung Galaxy models on the market that are all around the $1,000 mark? Those would be the Note20 Ultra, the S21 Ultra, and of course the Z Flip3. Which one should you choose if you're in the market for a new Galaxy device in this approximate price range? So let's start with what all three of these phones have. Those would be gorgeous 120 hertz displays, top of the line great build quality, the latest Corning Gorilla Glass on the front and the back for the Note20 Ultra, as well as the S21 Ultra, and just on the back glass and front display for the Z Flip3. And that is, of course, because the main display has to be able to fold, so that is not Gorilla Glass. They all have wireless charging, they all have reverse wireless charging, and super fast and quick performance. All have recent flagship processors. You can see here with the Note, really quick, really snappy. Same thing with the S21 Ultra, snappy, quick performance. And with your Z Flip 3, just as smooth, just as fast. They all have very good cameras as well, although that's also an area in which they differ, which we'll get into. So with the commonalities out of the way, let's get into the pros and cons of each, starting with the newest of the trio, the Z Flip 3. My favorite thing about Samsung's most affordable foldable to date is its ease of use. The in-hand feel when unfolded is what Samsung should be striving for, in my opinion, with every one of its flagships. I'm talking about one-hand ability. While the aspect ratio is a little tall and funky, the width and thickness of the device are perfect. I also love the flat display and uniform metal chassis all around. I just wish that chassis was polished like most high-end phones. Unfortunately, Samsung reserved those more premium finishes for the Tom Brown editions of the Z Fold 3 and Z Flip 3. You do get them, however, on the S21 series and the Note20 Ultra. But if you're thinking of getting the Z Flip 3, it's all about that flip factor. That's really the main novelty and attraction. It's cool, it's fun, it turns some heads, and for better or worse, it changes how you interact with your smartphone. For example, you may not open your smartphone as much. You might just double tap on the outer display here, go through your widgets, your notifications, and decide there's no need to flip it open. And while the main display is not as strong as those in most conventional slabs, the perk here is that it is mostly protected from drops and falls when it is closed. Those last few points bring me to what I don't like very much about this phone though. For one, that flipping open and closing quickly for me just started to feel like an unnecessary extra step. On the other phones, you just pick them up and interact with them, as you have been for the last, 10 to 15 years with smartphones. I actually found myself just keeping the phone unfolded when laying next to me and not in use, because I didn't want to keep closing it and unfolding it. And by the way, the screen protector that you're not allowed to peel off on here is a fingerprint magnet. Software features like Flex Mode didn't really provide enough utility for me to find the flip factor worth it, or to put up with other sacrifices the phone makes. For instance, the more paltry camera array here. The main and front cameras are more than acceptable, but you don't get a telephoto lens like you do on the S21 Ultra. For most people, I think a solid main lens and that ultra wide angle lens are enough, but just keep in mind, you're technically getting the least advanced camera setup of these three devices. The Z Flip 3 also charges the slowest of these three at just 15 watts. The other two charge at 25 watts, and the Note20 Ultra with a specific charging brick can even get up to 45 watts of charging. I gotta say, I don't mind the two-tone look at all on the Z Flip 3, but the design and color options really leave a lot to be desired if you're looking for elegance and sophistication. Samsung might have been targeting a younger crowd here with its pastel-like colors of cream, which I have here, green, lavender, and a matte black. But the fact is that brushed matted aluminum is more reminiscent of mid-tier devices and not flagship, whether you're talking about Samsung or Apple. Compare here with the S21 Ultra and the Note20 Ultra and the more premium finish on its metal chassis. Like I said, for the Z Flip 3, that polished finish was reserved for the Tom Brown edition. If I was to choose the Z Flip 3 out of these three, I'd have to slap on something classier design-wise on it, like one of Samsung's leather covers. This one here is in mustard, but you can also get it in green. Or my personal favorite case for the Z Flip3, this aramid cover with its carbon fiber look. Also keep in mind, this phone is rather slippery, so the covers will help mitigate that as well. I have videos showing how each of these covers look on this Z Flip3 if you want to check those out. I'll leave links in the description. This is also the only phone in this trio without any S Pen support. So if you want the option to use one, you're going to be choosing between the S21 Ultra and the Note20 Ultra. And finally, though this alone wouldn't make my purchase decision, it's worth noting that the Z Flip3 has the least amount of RAM out of these three devices with 8 gigabytes. The S21 Ultra and Note20 Ultra both come with 12 gigabytes of RAM, and if you get the 512 gigabyte version of the S21 Ultra, you get an insane 16 gigabytes of RAM, more than many laptops and desktops out there, which would be double what the Z Flip3 has. On to the newest of these devices, the S21 Ultra, released earlier this year, and this bad boy has the most complete camera system of the three. It's not much different at all than the Note20 Ultra's camera, and like I said, the main sensors will give you very comparable results on all three of these, but the S21 Ultra offers a marginal refinement on the Note20 Ultra. It has macro photography if you really want to zoom in on a subject. You can see here how nice that looks once that locks in. It also doubles what was an already impressive 50 times hybrid zoom from the Note20 Ultra. And while the results aren't too different between the 50 times hybrid zoom of the Note20 Ultra and the 100 times hybrid zoom of the S20 Ultra, you might notice it slightly, though I wouldn't consider either maxed out zoom shots usable. And both do a pretty nice job with some limited astrophotography as well. You can get some amazing shots of the moon with both the S21 Ultra and the Note20 Ultra. Depending on what color you get, the S21 Ultra is also absolutely gorgeous, especially in this phantom silver. It has a really steely look to it, and I like that the back glass of this one has a bit of reflectivity despite being matted or frosted a bit. And of course, that polished metal chassis really rounds out the premium nature of this design. It can show some fingerprints, but not as much as the phantom black S21 Ultra. I'm not a fan of that one personally, as the black looks like it has some kind of spray paint treatment on it. But I was also somewhat surprised to find that both the silver and especially the black S21 Ultra showed more fingerprints than the Note20 Ultra in this Mystic White color, even though this Mystic White is a glossy finish, which I really love. However, the Mystic Black Note20 Ultra, though gorgeous, will show more fingerprints than any of the devices and color variants I just mentioned. So keep that in mind if you're going with the Note20 Ultra and choosing which color you want. Another advantage the S21 Ultra has is the ability to use that super smooth 120 Hertz at Quad HD, while the Note20 Ultra has a Quad HD display as well. If you want to use that 120 Hertz, it has to be at full HD. That doesn't really make a difference for me, as both look super crisp at this size, but it's something to keep in mind. The Z Flip3, meanwhile, can only do full HD no matter what refresh rate you choose, 60 or 120 Hertz. But again, the important thing for me is that you get 120 Hertz on all three of these. You get the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 on both the S21 Ultra and Z Flip3. But as I said earlier, I cannot tell the difference at all between these three in terms of speed and performance. I cannot tell the difference between these two and the Snapdragon 865 Plus equipped Note20 Ultra. All three are equally fluid, which makes sense, and all three will still feel super snappy years down the line. Now, what I dislike about the S21 Ultra starts with the S Pen requiring a separate case that houses it to the side of the device, making it a lot wider and bulkier. I don't have that case here with me. I refused to get it. If you never use the S Pen, that won't matter to you. But if you do love to take notes, draw, etc. digitally, and so you want that S Pen on this S21 Ultra, I'd suggest you just leave one at home and one in the office, for example, so you don't have to lug it around in that awful case. But keep in mind, you won't get all of the Bluetooth functionality in the S21 Ultra's S Pen like you would in the Note20 Ultra's S Pen. The S21 Ultra also lacks micro SD support. You can only put a SIM card in there. Some don't care or use that. I rarely do anymore, but I very much like knowing it's there in case I do need it. And plenty of people simply won't even buy a phone that doesn't have micro SD support. You get that on the Note20 Ultra, but not on these other two. And speaking of the Note20 Ultra, much was made of Samsung not releasing a Note device in 2021 as they presumably push their foldables. Of course, the S Pen can be used on the Z Fold 3, even though, again, you need a specific case to house it that makes the phone a lot wider and bulkier. If you do want an S Pen with full functionality that lives right in the chassis of your phone, there is still nothing like a Note device. In addition to the easily storable S Pen with the Bluetooth goodies, this phone has an immaculate design, especially in Mystic White. Though there are only 3 color options to choose from, this was the best job Samsung did with color choices recently, offering a beautiful Mystic Black and a bold but still classy Mystic Bronze, which was the original color I had in this device, actually making it difficult to choose between the 3. Typically with Samsung, I find that just one color option at best stands out as nice. The S10 series being the rare exception with several impeccable color options. And while the Note 20 Ultra's camera setup is more useful than the Z Flip3's, it's not quite as feature-packed as the S21 Ultras, though the main features most would use exist on both the Note 20 Ultra and the S21 Ultra. That is to say, the camera setup on the Note and the S21 are a lot more similar than the Z Flip3's is to either of these. As mentioned, the Note 20 Ultra technically gives you the fastest charging speeds of these 3 devices, though the power brick that comes with the device charges at 25 watts, same speed as the S21 Ultra. But the S21 Ultra doesn't even include a charger in the box. The Z Flip3 does not either. The Note 20 Ultra does.
And it is worth mentioning as well that I get about 10% better battery life on the S21 Ultra over the Note 20. Doesn't make a huge difference to me. I wouldn't make my decision based on that. And I get about 10 to 15% better battery life on the Note 20 Ultra compared to the Z Flip 3.
Now on the downside, the Note 20 Ultra is the widest of these 3 devices, but it's also thinner than the S21 Ultra. So the end result holding these 2 is that I really felt no difference handling the 2 as far as size goes. The most noticeable difference is just the squared off design, which I actually really like. It feels like it gives you more screen real estate to work on or for viewing media. It's a 6.9-inch display compared to the 6.8 inches on the S21 Ultra and 6.7 inches on the Z Flip 3. The Notes definitely looks the biggest though, thanks to that design. And the Flips is only 6.7 inches because of that super tall aspect ratio. And I do wish that the Note 20 Ultra gave you 120 Hertz at that Quad HD resolution. That is one downside compared to the S21 Ultra, as I touched on. But again, the important thing is having 120 Hertz at all. And you get that at Full HD on the Note 20 Ultra, which really is hard to discern from Quad HD unless you're talking about monitors and TVs. Now you do miss out on that 100 times zoom of the S21 Ultra. It's just, and I use just in quotation marks, 50 times zoom on the Note. But you have to ask yourself how much you're going to actually take and use maxed out zoom photos. So this video has gone on long enough. What is the verdict? While you absolutely cannot go wrong with either of these, hence the similar price, I would choose either the S21 Ultra or the Note 20 Ultra. And if I had to pick between those 2, I'm keeping the Note. Considering how incredibly similar these phones are in terms of internals, software, camera, and size, the differences for me, the built-in S Pen, which I don't even use all that often, but it's useful for notes, shopping lists, meetings at the office. I don't need to bring along a notepad or pen when my Note 20 Ultra is with me. And 2, the more elegant, sophisticated design, specifically in this Mystic White. It's professional, yet eye-catching. It's modern, and it's unique. Now, the S21 Ultra looks super premium as well, especially in this Phantom Silver. I did compare it to the Phantom Titanium in an earlier video, which I'll link down below if you're choosing between what I think are the 2 best S21 Ultra color options. And while I prefer how much metal Samsung used in the S21 Ultra's chassis, you see that it's considerably thicker, that metal chassis on the sides, compared to the very rail thin Note 20 Ultra's metal chassis. I do prefer the camera housing on the Note 20 Ultra in white. And I do also slightly prefer that there's no pink or magenta sheen. I don't know if you can see that on camera. It's subtle, but I prefer that it's not there like it is on my favorite S21 Ultra color option, this Phantom Silver. And of course, that only shows up in some lighting. And a final note here, no pun intended, all 3 of these devices, of course, are fully compatible with Samsung's new Galaxy Watch 4 and Watch 4 Classic. So I really do hope this helped you if you're in the market for a new Galaxy device in this price range. Let me know in the comments section. I'm curious which one you would choose and why. And for more coverage of these devices and others, including that upcoming Google Pixel 6 Pro, go ahead and obliterate that subscribe button. Stay safe, everyone, and thank you for spending your time with me. I don't take that for granted. I'll see you next time.